Good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of term 2. It is Thursday, the 16th of April, and welcome to your second maths lesson. We will continue with fractions today, and in a moment I'll share with you what is the new topic for today. But first of all, I would like to say thank you for your patience yesterday. Thank you for understanding that some of you were able to see the instruction video for math. Some of you were not able to see it. Some of you were able to log on to Mathletics. Some of you were not able to log onto Mathletics. Some of you logged in, and then when you finished your work, you realized, oh no, it did not save. So look, these are all teething problems that we have to sort of be patient with. I'm sure Mathletics will address this issue, and they will try to sort it out. I know there were some issues with Wooshka as well, so there's a lots of students across the state who are trying to access these learning platforms, Mathletics and Wooshka at this time, so we need to be patient and understanding with each other. Okay, let's move on. So we've started talking about fractions, and I really appreciate all those of you who actually posted something on the forum about the questions I posed in the instructions videos. Obviously, if you were not able to access the video, you wouldn't know what I'm talking about now. But at any given time, you will have 2 days worth of maths lessons on the online Chris Connect online learning page. So if you've missed the videos yesterday, there could be a chance that you might be able to access those videos today. Before I tell you the topic for today, I'm going to ask you, imagine you are having pizza for dinner one night, and then you eat 2 slices of pizza and someone else in your family eats a quarter of that pizza. Which one of you ate more pizza? Have a think about it. Have a conversation with someone in the household about it. Maybe post something on the forum, and this is a good time to pause the video and have a chat about this. Brilliant. Before you give me the answer to that, let me ask you something else. What if someone ate half of that pizza and someone ate 2/4 of that pizza and someone ate nothing? Someone ate, let's say, 4 slices of pizza. Which one of you ate more? Half, 2/4, or 4 slices? Well, if you've answered they're all eating the same number of slices, you're right. See, today I want us to discuss equivalent fractions. It is one aspect of fractions that's actually quite tricky to get our head around it, because quite often we would look at 2 fractions written in 2 different ways using different numerals, and we're thinking, what do you mean by equivalent fractions? What are equivalent fractions? Probably this is another good time for you to have a conversation with someone in your family. How would you define equivalent fractions? Pause the video and have that conversation now. Excellent. Welcome back. So if you have used words like equal share, same amount, same number, yes, equivalent fractions mean the same amount are out of the whole. Let me share my screen with you and I'll illustrate that. So this is where I got the idea about the pizza. So the question here is, who ate more? Jan, who ate half a pizza, or Susan, who ate 4/8 of a pizza, or 4 slices out of 8? Well, if you look at it, even just the graphic, the visual representation of this says to you, well, they pretty much ate the same amount of pizza. Jan ate half of it, Susan ate 4/8 or 2/4, but in the end she ate half of the pizza as well. Right, let's go to another screen that I want to share with you. Okay, brilliant. Now, here on the right side, you have a given fraction, 1/3. Here you have a visual representation of this fraction. And then what we need to do is to figure out equivalent fractions from what I call this is a fraction wall. So at the top, in the first row, you have the whole, and then you have 2 equal halves here. Then you have the 3 equal thirds here. Then you have quarters, fifths, sixths, eighths, tenths, and 12ths. So this is a fraction wall, and actually it's a great visual aid, a visual representation of equivalent fractions. So the question here is, we need to find equivalent fractions to 1/3. Okay, let's go and have a look. So if you have a look, 1/3, if I go down, I can see that quarters, they do not really match with thirds. Neither do fifths. They don't really match with thirds. So a third is actually larger than a quarter. And a third is actually larger than 1/5, but not as large as 2/5. So if I keep going down, the first thing I'm going to notice is, aha, look at that. Actually, 2/6 are the equivalent of 1/3. Let me check my answer. Is that correct? Yes, it is. Now, I'm wondering if I could find another equivalent fraction there. But we'll come back to that. Actually, let's do it now. There you go. So quarters no good, fifths no good. But now I'm going to look at the eighths again. Can you see where my 1/3 finishes there? See how the lines line up perfectly? I think another equivalent fraction for that would be 4/12. Let me check my answer. Yes. So 1/3 is equivalent to 2/6, and also it's equivalent to 4/12. Let's move to another example of equivalent fractions. I have 5/10 here, and this is how it is represented. I have 5/10, and I'm required to figure out equivalent fractions. So these are my tenths here, okay? And then what I need to do is actually to go up, follow that line, okay? Just follow that line and see if I can find any other equivalent fractions. Okay, look at that. Straight off the bat, I'm going to say 5/10 is equivalent with a half. Let's check that. That's correct. Let's come back to 5/10 and see if we can figure any other equivalent fractions. I have a feeling 2/4 or 2/4 is going to be an equivalent fraction. Let me check. That is correct. Okay. Let's go back to that. Do you think you can spot any other equivalent fractions here? Now look at that. I know that looks very much, how can I say, it looks like an equivalent fraction. Let's see if it's true. 8. So 4/8, is that an equivalent fraction to 5/10? Look at that. Yes, it is. But also, I've spotted another one. Have you spotted another one? Maybe another 2 or 3. Let's see. Look at that. 3/6 is actually the same as 5/10. Yes, it is. I think there is one more there that we can go and have a go at. I think 6/12 are going to be an equivalent fraction to 5/10. 6/12 is equivalent to 5/10. Let's check the answer. Yes, it is. Brilliant. We've done 12s, we've done 10s. Yes, quarters. Let's do some equivalent fractions with quarters, with 4 as our denominator. Okay, so these are my quarters, and it says 1/4. Can you see an equivalent fraction to 1/4? Well, if I look at a fifths, not really. That's my 1/4. Takes a fifth and a bit to have a quarter. It takes a sixth and a bit more to have a quarter. But look at that. 2/8. I think 2/8 are 1/4. Let me check my answer. Yes. Right, let me go through this. Can you find an equivalent fraction for a quarter? Are there any other equivalent fractions for a quarter here? I think I will try the 12s. So 1/4, 1 out of 4, or 3 out of 12. I wonder if they are equivalent fractions. Look at that. Yes, they are. Brilliant. Let me see. Okay, now have a look at 2/4. So 2/4, what if I put 2 out of 4 or 1 out of 2? That's an equivalent fraction. What about, so this is my 2/4 here. If I go down that way, I can see something else. Look at that. 3 out of 6. That's an equivalent fraction. Basically, have a look at all these fractions underneath 6ths, 8ths, 10ths, and 12ths. They're all equivalent fractions to 2/4. So 2/4 is the same as 3/6, the same as 4/8, the same as 5/10, the same as 6/12. Excellent. Let me share something else on my screen here. These are going to be some of the activities that you can work on today, and you don't have to print these Word documents out. You just look at the screen and you can recreate these on a blank piece of paper in your grid books. You can write first this column of fractions, then you can write this column of fractions, and then you try to match them. But if you have the possibility of printing this piece of paper, this worksheet, do so. Have a look at the worksheet first. This is a very good starting point, but if you're not sure if this is too easy or too hard for you, have a go at it. Go back to the video and pause it on the fraction wall. Maybe it would be a good idea to create your own fraction wall to include 7ths and 9ths. In this instance here, you're going to have 9ths, and see if you can match each fraction to the correct equivalent fraction here. Once you've completed this, if you want something a bit more challenging, this is the next one. So you do not have any visual representation for these here, but this is where you can go back to the fraction wall. We've got halves in there, we've got 6ths, we've got 10ths. This is going to be a trickier one because we've got 9ths and 15ths, but probably you will be able to access on the internet. I will actually post on Chris Connect a page with other fractions as well in there. Okay, so this would be the next one up, and probably the most difficult work here would be this one here. You've got the visual representation for the first 3 fractions, and then everything else here is a bit of a challenge. There's quite a few of them here. So I would say start with the first activity and see if you can work your way through it, and see how far you can get. Any questions? I will be on the forum, and I'll be able to answer those questions for you. And a reminder, please make sure that you post maths questions on the maths forum and English questions on the English forum as of today. I hope you have an enjoyable time, and I hope you will find this challenging enough. Also, in the instruction box, in the text box, I will tell you which Mathletics you need to go back onto Mathletics and do some activities there, depending on how Mathletics have resolved the issues today. Have a great day. See you tomorrow when we'll be talking about something else about fractions. Bye-bye.